All right, Laws of Power, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, first episode, The Hedge Knight. So each week, I'm gonna recap the episode through the lens of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. I read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, but it's also been a while, so I don't really remember it. I don't think I can spoil much beyond each episode, so this will cover what's on the show, and maybe I'll bring some quotes in from the book. But yeah, just some quick thoughts on the show. I love it. Love being in Westeros again, and just happy to have a lighthearted show. While I said I don't remember the book, channeling Maya Angelou, I remember how the book made me feel, and the show does seem to capture that. Where it's like you're in Westeros, there's some smaller stakes here compared to, I guess, like the survival of people or like the survival of the realm against Nightwalkers, and yeah, just nice to have. Yeah, it's a fun book, fun show so far. So, episode recap. I just a lot of Dunk here. I don't know why I decided to write Dunk is doing this, Dunk is doing this, but that is pretty much like the show. So Dunk is burying his mentor, who he squired for. His mentor was a hedge knight, so they're just roaming around, and yeah, we actually don't see the mentor alive except in flashbacks. So he buries him, looks at some of his equipment, decides that he's going to take some of that, including the horses. He's considering like selling the horses because then he says, I can eat like a king, but that will run into a dead end. I'll get to more of this later, but yeah, he instead decides, I put travel the world here, but first it starts with a tournament. So he's going to go head towards that. At one of the inns that he stays at, there's a stable boy what he thinks is a stable boy. So he meets a stable boy, has a drink at the inn, runs into a drunk Targaryen. We know that because we see like the Targaryen leaves a coin with the dragons on it to pay. Then Dunk heads to the tournament. He meets this knight who's a jerk to him, and then that knight's squire. Dunk goes around trying to get entry into the tournament. He name drops his Sir Arlen, who is the knight that he was burying early on, but there were no other witnesses to him being knighted, so he's denied and told to reach out to the person that might know Sir Arlen, so that he can have another knight vouch for him. That knight like denies him, or he can't find that knight at first, so he meets back up or like runs into the squire from earlier. Then they go to this supper hosted by the Laughing Storm, Sir Lionel Baratheon. And then, yeah, Dunk dances with Lionel Baratheon after being kind of like interrogated. After that, Dunk runs into the person, does find the person who's supposed to vouch for him, and he doesn't. He's denied again. Then he runs into the little boy, the stable boy, and finds out that boy's name is Egg, and he accepts Egg as his squire. Egg tells Dunk that he's from King's Landing, and Dunk guesses he's from Flea Bottom. So, yeah, that's kind of what happens in the episode. We saw, yeah, some flashbacks, mostly just like Sir Arlen being like disciplining Dunk. And I think a theme through this is that Dunk says that he was knighted, but we don't actually know. So I think we will find out. This is one of those details like I should probably remember from reading it, but I don't, which is good. So that it can be like watching it for the first time for me, or like experiencing the story for the first time for me. So let's get into the laws. So these are from Robert Greene's Laws of Power. Law 29, plan all the way to the end. So this is the scene where he has the three horses. He's thinking, oh, I can sell those. And from the book 48 Laws of Power about this law, here's the quote: "The ending is everything. Plan all the way to it, taking into account all the possible consequences, obstacles, and twists of fortune that might reverse your hard work and give the glory to others. By planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead." And then further on, there's this other quote where Robert Greene is writing about the Greeks, and they had multiple gods, similar to Westeros, where they some many people are they have multiple gods also. But yeah, Robert Greene talks about Odysseus and other people who were able to plan several steps ahead. So this idea of planning all the way to the end. If you can plan ahead, then you can defy fate because the gods have complete vision into the future. Um, Mere mortals can plan ahead. They won't have this clear vision, but it's the only way to defy fate. And then, he says you can, a person can have godlike power if they can, the more clear that they can see into the future. So, yeah, this Dunk doesn't have godlike power, but in this specific case, he's able to say, like, he'll plan ahead, plan all the way to the end. He's like, well, I can eat like a king if I sell these horses. But people who do this, he just thought, I'm going to end up as a beggar or an outlaw. So decides not to do that. This is where he takes up Sir Arlen's sword. He says that it fits me as well as it fits him. Then just thinks to, okay, maybe I won't. He's not looking to have to like be the greatest knight in the world, just to establish himself as a knight. And he thinks the first step could be to go to this tournament for a little bit of glory. So that's where he starts heading to. And yeah, this kicks off the whole thing. He doesn't know where that's going to end. Can't really see that future, but he at least knows he's going to try to not end up as a beggar or outlaw. Next law, Law 46, never appear too perfect. So from 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene writes, appearing better than others is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Envy creates silent enemies. It is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. Only gods and the dead can seem perfect with impunity. So that's the quote. And this is a law that Dunk nails completely effortless because nobody envies Dunk. Not Egg, not the other knights, not the squires to the other knights. Dunk has no grand plans other than, again, like, just doesn't want to end up a beggar or an outlaw. So, yeah, the other knights call him a hedge knight as an insult, but for Dunk, it's something he can take pride in. This is a quote from the book, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and his thoughts on being a hedge knight. He says, a hedge knight must hold tight to his pride. Without it, he was no more than a sellsword. I must earn my place in that company. If I fight well, some lord may take me into his household. I will ride in noble company then and eat fresh meat every night in a castle hall and raise my own pavilion at tourneys. But first, so I think this is an important piece. Just this idea of having pride in what he is. Like, a hedge knight must hold tight to his pride. So no one envies him. He doesn't appear perfect to anyone. And this allows him to move without being noticed, which can be an advantage in this case. And I think this is a nice thing. Like, he doesn't have much, but he has his pride right now. So law number 6, court attention at all costs. This is the quote from 48 Laws of Power. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd, then or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. So here we see Dunk in the tent, and this is where he's kind of being, I don't know about interrogated, but this is Sir Lionel Baratheon, and he's questioning Sir Dunk and is asking him, like, why is he slouching? So I wrote here, he says, where I grew up, you learn to go unnoticed is all. So Dunk slips into Lionel Baratheon's tent and mostly just wants supper. He's just enjoying the free food. He slouches, but can't really hide. And that's when Lionel Baratheon says, like, hey, come here. I have some questions. Can you explain why you're here? I'm here for supper. And then, yeah, Baratheon points out that Dunk has an easy path to standing out. Stand tall, don't slouch. He says the seven above gave you tallness, and he's shying away from it. So Dunk thought he would make a name for himself by performing well in the tournament, but he's finding out that he needs to make a name for himself to even enter the tournament. So the first step could be following this law: court attention at all costs, stop slouching. Law 41, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. This is the quote: what happens first always appears better and more original than what comes after. If you succeed a great man or have a famous parent, you will have to accomplish double their achievements to outshine them. Do not get lost in their shadow or stuck in a past not of your own making. Establish your own name and identity by changing course. Slay the overbearing father, disparage his legacy, and gain power by shining in your own way. That's the end of the quote. So Sir Arlen doesn't seem to have the widest reputation, except to Dunk. He's taught Dunk everything, so his Dunk's identity is pretty much tied to being Arlen's squire up to that point, and now Arlen's gone, so what is his identity is, I think, the thing he's searching for. He's starting his life as a knight, so Dunk will need a squire of his own. At the end of the episode, he runs into the boy again, who mentions he's from King's Landing, and Dunk assumes he's from Flea Bottom. Dunk agrees to let him be his squire. So now Dunk has become a knight with a squire, and yeah, as we see here, a little bit dark here, but he says, do you want a clout in the ear? So this is like multiple times now that Dunk has threatened Egg with a clout in the ear, but he hasn't followed through with that warning yet. So in flashbacks, we see Sir Arlen hitting Dunk a few times without any sort of generous warning, but Dunk does say he deserved most of it, except for the time he wasn't stealing. It could be the first step in Dunk shining in his own way, to have a squire and to teach him things as well, but maybe with a softer touch. We'll see. Law number 25 is recreate yourself. So from 48 Laws of Power, do not accept the roles that society foists on you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life. Further on, Robert Greene provides a couple steps in the process of self-creation. So the first step is self-consciousness, being aware of yourself as an actor and taking control of your appearance and emotions. So yeah, Dunk is just kind of going through life. He does have like the foresight to not sell his horses and go to the tournament, but he doesn't know to like create this character, or all he knows is how to be himself, which can be good, but then being a little more deliberate in his appearance and things. He does show there are some like comedic scenes where he's taking a bath, cleaning up, but in the book he does kind of like talk to himself about the importance of a knight being like like following good hygiene. So he's starting to be more aware of that. And then, okay, so second step is stand out. So in this process of self-creation, Robert Greene writes, the second step is a variation of the George Sand strategy, the creation of a memorable character, one that compels attention, that stands out above the other players on the stage. And in this case, this is George Sand. And George Sand is the male pen name of female writer Aurora Dupin-Dudevant. So this is her. In 1830s Paris, this was her only path to a career in writing, to have the male pen name because of just like the expectations of a woman at the time, have kids, don't be a writer. So she played this up. She has the male pen name, but played this up even in real life, where she would wear men's clothes and eventually gained entry into this clique of male artists. Now it's time for Dunk to take control of his appearance and emotions, to create and become the memorable character. And at the end of the episode, we see him announce his name. Egg asks what his name is, and he says, Sir Duncan the Tall. So, taking his steps toward that. And I guess that's it for the loss of power that I had down here. Thought I would have more, but yeah, that's 5 of them for this first episode. Definitely check out the show. I don't know why you would be watching this if you haven't seen the show or if you're not planning to, but yeah, love being back here. And I guess like one comment is just I'm just always so amazed by like George R. Martin in that all of this came from his head. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season, and I will do. My goal right now is 5 laws for each of the episodes, so that's what I'm going to try to do. Thanks for checking this out.